We usually do midweek mailbag on Wednesday, but we're gonna give a little bonus to the Locked On Rays listening contingent out there. We'll have a mailbag Tuesday and a mailbag Wednesday.
I know there's a lot of questions that we need to get through. Hopefully, the Brewer series is going well, and because it will, and we previewed it on Monday. So let's see what you guys have for us.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And if you're interested in advertising with the program, lockedonrays@gmail.com. All right, let's roll into these mailbag questions. Several of these may or may not be from Darren Hybert, but just wanted to throw that out there that he gave us a bevy of really fun questions to tackle. So we've got that for today, and we've got several more for tomorrow as well. This first question, Taj Bradley is a Durham Bull. When will he be a Ray?
Well, Darren, thank you in advance for all of the questions that we're going to talk about today and tomorrow. Let's see. When will he be a Ray? I think he has 4 starts so far with the Durham Bulls. If I am correct, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, and they haven't been that great all combined.
Yeah, you can check me on that, but I do believe it's 4 so far. Unless for you Hamilton fans, I do not think that we will see him in 2022. I do not foresee that. I think he's more of the Rays have enough in Yarbrough, Fleming, Romero to be able to kind of piecemeal this thing if something goes awry. Again, you have Yonny Chirinos coming back. You have a Brendan McKay coming back, hopefully. So I think for Taj, it's get some reps, do your AAA. Like, there is no rush. I know fans want to see him right away. I don't foresee him until like July at the earliest of 2023.
No, I agree 100%. And pretty much every level that he's been at, he's tackled and put up killer numbers. I mean, what he did so far this season in AA Montgomery was outstanding and what elevated him to basically top prospect status. But AAA, he's had some rough patches here and there. So I think there's going to be some learning and growing. Let's remember, he doesn't have any college experience. He's just 21 years old. I also wonder, I mean, there's so many injured guys that a couple of them are going to come back. I mean, he's not on the 40-man yet. That's the other thing, too. Like, there's too many other guys knocking on the door, if you will. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but let's also recall Shane McClanahan, his very first action in the postseason. Shane Baz, his very first action in the postseason. Did those guys not struggle and have sort of a reality moment? I wonder if the Rays are willing to do that with Taj Bradley, and I don't think they are this season. So I agree with you. I would say sometime mid-year of 2023. That's what I would peg it at as of right now. I mean, he's clearly the rage in baseball. I mean, I think he was one of the most asked about prospects in trade talks that the Rays were involved in, and he's got that 4-pitch mix. He's got the fastball. He's got the curveball. He's got the slider. He's got the changeup. He might be sort of a poor man's Shane McClanahan, right-handed. Poor man's Shane Boz. I know that the Rays had worked with him to improve his delivery. I just think that, again, we get a little bit rambunctious with prospects. A guy's killing it in AA or AAA, and you read the reports and you keep hearing a name and you keep hearing a name, and it's like, well, when are they going to call this guy up? And I just I don't think he's ready yet, and I don't think he should be rushed. I don't think there's any reason to rush him this year.
I don't think there's any reason to rush him. Like if he was a bat, if we're
Yeah.
talking about Curtis Mead, who is killing it, if we're talking about Grant Witherspoon, who is killing it in AAA, and you're like, oh wait, we need bats, or Jonathan Aranda, who is killing it in AAA, like what are your needs? Do the Rays need starting pitching? No, they don't. Like, I mean, in the big picture, does every team starting picture? Yes, but come on, people. I'm saying what has been the strength in 2022 for the Rays? It hasn't been the base running. It hasn't been the defense. It hasn't been the offense. It has been the pitching. So I don't see a point of rushing this guy. Look, he's had 12 innings in AAA. He has a 5.25 ERA, 15 hits allowed in 12 innings, 16. He's like, give him some time to cook, like, marinate himself. Like, he's a young guy. Like, I don't see any point in rushing him. I think that would be detrimental to his development. We could also point out Brendan McKay. Was he not a little bit rushed from AAA and the minors to the major leagues? Yeah, he had a terrific MLB debut with the Texas Rangers. I believe it was 6 innings scoreless, and he was just pinpointing left, right, up, and down, just controlling everything. But then it was kind of a letdown rookie season for him pitching-wise.
Right.
So I don't see any point. I want him to hit 100 innings in AAA.
I think that's
to really sort things out.
I think that's really fair. And I know we both mentioned his numbers and their lackluster at AAA right now. Some of that may just be I haven't watched any Taj Bradley in AAA, but there sometimes is a directive of, hey, only focus on this pitch or only focus on these 2 pitches. It's not go out and perform to the best of your ability. It's, hey, we want you to fine tune this part of your repertoire, and you get hammered, you get beat up because of that, because you're working on something. That's just part of the ball game there.
Exactly. Like, we want him to get shellacked in AAA. We want him to, like, if he's really finding that curveball as a chase pitch, you want him to work on that curveball. Oh, it's getting hit around. Okay, well, let's hopefully get that sorted out before you're actually facing a Rowdy Tellez.
Right.
Before you're facing an Aaron Judge. Like, you got to get those things crisp, and 12 innings is not enough. Definitely I would not. Anything earlier than July 2023 would really tell me, number one, a lot of injuries happen.
Yeah.
Or number two, the guy has just been on a Blake Snell 2016 AAA 50 inning scoreless that you're like, okay, we would be irresponsible. We would be negligent not to give this guy the ball. Like, those are the 2 options: injuries, or he is just putting unreal numbers.
Yeah, and it's good for him to experience a bit of failure, whether some of that is engineered with only focusing on a certain part of your repertoire, or the fact that, hey, he's 21 years old, he's at the highest level before getting to the majors, and you're facing a lot of 4A guys, a lot of guys who have had that taste, that cup of coffee in the big leagues, a lot of guys that are 27, 28, 29 that, it's a different level for sure. I mean, there's more pure talent in AA, but AAA, you got more refined ball players that, at the end of the day, they're probably not going to be, long-term professionals, or long-term big leaguers, I should say, but they're a little bit long in the tooth, and they know how to work a 21-year-old despite how good his stuff is.
Well, you talk about how good stuff is. Let me tell you about the Built Bar Puffs. Okay, Kevin, because they are so good. All right. So I'm going to introduce you, Kevin, to a new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs, which have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks. And of course, you know it, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. It's all of the joys of eating cookie dough. And they're only 160 calories, and they have only 15 grams of protein in them. Only? That's amazing. That's amazing. That's exactly what you want. So it's the perfect treat if you want to be health conscious, but you also want something really, really yummy. So today, go to built.com. You can use promo code LOCKED15 and try the cookie dough chunk puff today. You're going to get 15% off your order if you use that promo code LOCKED15. We keep telling you about it. I know you've used it, so go get yourself some Built Bars. Again, go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off your order at built.com.
All right. This next question. If the collapsing Boston Red Sox decide to shake up their roster in the offseason, would the Rays and Boston trade with each other?
They have in the past.
Yes.
Let's not forget the Mazza Springs Ronaldo trade. I need to check out Ronaldo's stats.
They're actually
last time
really
I
good in
checked-
AAA, and he's on the 40-man for the Red Sox. And the fact that the Red Sox just traded Christian Vasquez opens up a lane or an avenue for him, if not this year, I would think next year. So he's basically doing what he's supposed to do, I would say, thus far. The Rays have come out on top in that deal with the output that Jeffrey Springs has gathered thus far, but we'll see what happens. But yes, that wasn't all that long ago that deal was made.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy to hear Ronaldo's doing well. Hopefully, he has a long, steady career and always goes hitless against the Rays and just smashes against everybody else. That's my hope for him. Can they trade again? Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. I don't think it would be something major. I think it would be
Right.
something like that could develop into something really good. I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, even though Mazza was DFA'd, like Springs is a member of your rotation, and he's been one of the best
Yeah.
rotation guys that you could have hoped for in 2022 for the Rays in the league. I mean, I think that the swings inside the zone, unreal with his changeup. I mean, the changeup
Right.
has been working fantastically for Jeffrey Springs. So I think it could develop into something, a trade, but it wouldn't be like a major one.
Yeah.
At that.
Don't expect Rafael Devers or Tanner Houck or Nick Pivetta or Chris Sale in a Rays uniform. Think more along the lines of Franchi Cordero, who struggles in Fenway Park or struggles for an organization like that. Maybe a change in scenery, change in environment, a place where there's not as much pressure, a guy who has immense strength and power. See what maybe he can do in a Rays uniform. And, with Chaim Bloom at the helm with the Red Sox, of course, former Rays executive, it seems like there's a lot of player swapping, or a lot of they're kind of targeting the same players in some sense. For example, Rich Hill, Michael Wacha, Hunter Renfroe, Tommy Pham, Christian Arroyo, Rob Refsnyder, a lot of those types of guys that, if the Rays like them, this new breed Red Sox front office probably likes them as well to some extent. So, and I guess there was also a major trade back in 2018 when the Rays traded Nate Eovaldi to
Right.
the Red Sox. I wouldn't expect something like that to happen, but I think a smaller deal with a guy on the fringe, 26 or 40 man, absolutely could be worked out. Now, question, because I think this is fun to talk about. I mean, the Red Sox, let's also remember they're a 500 team right now, so they're I don't think they're going to totally shake things up. I think if there's anything that happens, it would be a minor move. But is it fair to say that the Rays and Red Sox would be more likely to trade with each other versus the Rays and Red Sox trading with the Yankees?
I think that would be more likely just because there's that rapport of
Right.
working together between Bloom, Bendix, and Neander. I think that helps a lot. I think they might have dealt with Cashman for a long time, because Cashman, I think, has been the GM for the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken, since 1998.
Crazy.
So talk about a tenure there. So obviously they've had their dealings, but yeah, I think the personal touch, the personal rapport with Bloom and being friends,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that those guys are friends, and maybe it's a little bit less likely to keep in touch when you're not in the same hallways, but I'm sure Bloom and Bendix and Neander still keep in touch
Yeah, I'm
sometimes.
sure they're in a group chat, group text, whatever it may be, for sure. That might have to be a good prop bet for Bet Online. Is will the Rays and Red Sox come together on some sort of minor trade in the off season?
If they do, can it not be Jared Duran? Because that guy, my goodness, he has been a Ringling Brothers circus show out there in center field. Like it's
Yeah,
been like
right.
like oh my
And
goodness.
wasn't he one of the most talked about prospects as well?
That's what
Yeah,
happens, people. Remember, do not prospect
yeah.
talk. It's a disease.
And sometimes it's again a bad player too like that. You can't shake that off when you're in a market like Boston.
It's tough, man. It's a tough mental
Yeah.
game. Yogi
If
Berra
you're
said it, baby.
if you're playing in Kansas City or Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay, maybe it's a different case. That's why I'm saying, hey, go out and acquire a Franchi Cordero. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It's not like you have to give up, you know, Taj Bradley or Curtis Mead to acquire a guy like that. Just saying. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your betting needs. You can find all your favorite sports and events at the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering info, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcast. They have you covered. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. All right, another fun question we have here. When the schedules open up, the Rays should be advantaged by not having to play AL East teams so much. Pair this with expanded playoffs, and how does this affect the fan experience? It's almost as much fun rooting against a rival as cheering on your own team. We might think we'll despise Boston and New York for life, but soon their success or failure will mean very little to Rays fans. A few more wins in the season, a little less passion about rivalries. How does this inevitable trade-off strike you? Ready to go sing Kumbaya in the Bronx? And of course, what this question is alluding to is in 2023, teams will play fewer games against division opponents, instead playing one series against every team in the other league. So just wanted to put that out there, that schedules opening up beginning in 2023.
I like the creativity in the question, and I appreciate it. Let's also be mindful that yes, the Rays play their division 18, 19 times, which is a lot.
Yeah.
It'll go down to 14. So it's not like, oh man, when do we ever play the Red Sox or the Yankees? Like
Right. It's not
14.
like, oh, now we've only got a 4-game series versus them, or we're only playing 6 games. You're still playing
You're
them
still playing.
more than a dozen times.
You're still playing them a lot. I understand that it's less. So I don't think the rivalry will decrease with the Yankees or the Red Sox. You're still going to love to root against them. And I
Yeah.
think that's actually one of the greatest things about being a fan, is sometimes not having to root for your team, but root for the demise of another team. I think that's really fun. That's something that sports gives us, that it's, it's sometimes might be a little bit, not found in other avenues, if I can
Right.
say that. But I think, on the other hand, I think it's just going to enhance the fan experience. Number one, you are going to create new rivalries. You're going to create new memories of hate, if I can
Yeah.
use that word very lightly and not what it actually is supposed to be. Like, let's hate in the sports sense. Like, let's say the Rays go into Minnesota and then just sweep them. just sweep them two times in a row.
Mhm.
You don't think the Twins fans are going to remember that, and they're going to be like, oh, those bleeping Rays, man. I cannot
Yeah.
stand the bleeping Rays and their bleeping openers, and they never even have Tampa Bay on their jerseys. It's only Rays and the Sunburst. Like, I hate that team. Like, that's awesome. That's
Right.
going to be great. So I think it's going to enhance it that way, where you're going to create new rivalries. But I also think it's going to enhance the fan experience, because you get to see more of Byron Buxton, and you're going to see a little bit more of Shohei Ohtani, and you are going to see a lot more of Rowdy Tellez and
Yeah.
Willie Adames, and you're going to see a lot more of Juan Soto and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. And oh my God, why is the Dominican Republic's lineup for the World Baseball Classic all jumped into the
Yeah.
San Diego Padres? My
Right.
goodness, it's amazing. Good for them.
Yeah, I think
So that's gonna be great.
No, I think at the end of the day, whether it's 18 or 19 games against the Red Sox and Yankees respectively versus 14 games, I don't think that the rivalry will still absolutely be there. If anything, I mean, maybe the Rays front office and ownership is a little bit perturbed because that might cause attendance to take a hit in some sense, if that's, one less home series where you have a Red Sox crowd or a Yankees crowd. But I think at the end of the day, you hit on it, enhancing the fan experience. And I think growing the game is so important. We talk all the time about, we don't really get an opportunity to watch or see the National League stars and the National League teams in person very often. Outside of the Marlins, maybe, but when do we really get that opportunity to see Juan Soto and see Fernando Tatis Jr. and see Manny Machado and see Ronald Acuna Jr. and see the stars of the American League that we may only see them every once in a while? Like, I want to see Julio Rodriguez more often. I want to see Mike Trout more often. I want to see Shohei Ohtani more often. I want to see guys like Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. Yeah. I think that's a huge fact. How could I leave? I'm just naming players at this point, but you get the point of just being able to get exposed to more players, more rosters, different franchises, and just there's something about seeing a jersey, another team's jersey, that you don't see very often. To me, it piques the interest a little bit more. No matter the sport, not just baseball, but any sport, when, one of your favorite teams is facing a team that you never get to see, that lights up a little bit to some extent.
Yeah, 100%. And, we were talking about it on Friday's episode during trivia. JD Drew had a career WAR of 42. And, because he was so much into the National League, that was completely lost if you were an American League fan,
right?
Like I was. I only saw him as the Red Sox guy for like 3 to 4 seasons, but he had a very solid whole career, and you miss that when you're just a one team kind of person. So, I think it can only enhance the fan experience to get to see new teams, get to see new the stars of every team play against yours, and create new memories that will, create a new traditional, rivalry. Like, wouldn't it be cool for Tampa Bay, and I said Minnesota earlier, so I'll pick on them again, like, and the Twins to just kind of like not like each other?
Yeah,
that would be great. That would be great.
And I love how you mentioned JD Drew there. 2 examples of that. Look at the Diamondbacks. David Peralta and former Diamondbacks player Paul Goldschmidt. I had no idea Paul Goldschmidt put up the career that he has put up. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, most likely.
We've missed it.
We missed all those years.
Freddie Freeman. Freeman is so close with Atlanta. I don't want to, Matt Olson.
Right.
I think this whole thing is a tremendous first step, but I'm going to go farther. Like I have said this on this podcast since we started on June 10th, 2019. For you OGs, thank you so much for staying with us, listening for 3+ years. Eliminate divisions. This is my great controversial opinion. Eliminate divisions. It does not make sense. If you look at the standings, people, Look at what the Twins are doing to be first in their division. Now look at what the Yankees have had to do to be
Yeah.
first, and look at what Houston has had to do. What are we doing here? Eliminate divisions. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So that's my big proposal, is just make it one league, just like it was in the past. And it's not a big controversial thing. It shouldn't be, because boomers who listen to this show might remember that once upon a time, and millennials and Gen Z who have done their history on baseball and know how things operated before divisionals and all that, it was one big league and then the other big league, and then the best ones go for the show. Okay? So we could do something like a throwback like that, where it's kind of a more paired up schedule, and there's no more, oh, this team won 86, so they get their central divisional crown,
Yeah.
while the team that won 92 gets relegated to a wild card position. Come on.
If
Doesn't make sense.
if we eliminate divisions, can we also include an amendment that requires all games to be 7 innings? Would you do
No.
that?
No, I
Okay.
wouldn't. No,
Okay.
no.
I would sign up immediately.
Yeah.
No, it's fun to talk about for sure. And great questions there. We have another mailbag episode coming up on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thank you again for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast with Lindsey Crosby. He's awesome, great, and very entertaining. So check that out as well. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.